So then another arsenal is the digital certificates. Even if you're using those, they can be fake, they can be stolen, they can be like forged, and so on and so forth. It can be fake certificates, so they're trying to bypass somehow any kind of digital certificates you're using in your infrastructure. Then some tools, they like malware, real malware tools, is like first stage implant, the first implant they send to your organization, and then there is like a modular, very complicated backdoors and different kind of samples they're using for different purposes, and different capabilities like file system control, password stealing, sound recording, video recording, and so on and so forth. They're taking information from removable devices, smartphone infections, and so on and so forth. The most complicated ones are RSA encryption. So they collect information, they encrypt it, and send it to their command control servers. Live modifications of operating system updates, jailbreaking mobile phones, and finally the most tricky part with equation campaign happened last year, hard drive firmware infection. And like there are again more and more such cases. Finally, how they get to your system, how they get inside. Several things. First, the most common one is spear phishing emails. So targeted email to your employees. Who are the first victims? Who will be the first victims in your organizations? Who? The employees, of course, but what kind of employees? First, in our opinion, the first victims will be top managers. Why? They have a lot of information. They have restricted access, like huge access, information. They're always using some MacBooks because it's like a matter of status. And MacBooks are not secured that way as we think. So in our opinion, the first target will be top managers, but not necessarily. It can be non-technical people, like HR, finance, marketing, sales. So those guys who are not really like familiar with even spear phishing emails. We have a bunch of trainings, like security awareness trainings we are doing inside our organizations and for our partners, like how to recognize APT attack, how you can recognize that you are a target of APT campaign. It's tricky, it's quite interesting, but like the more knowledge, the more information that will be later in my slides, you're sharing with your employees, the better. Also, it can be like technical guys as well. Like they're still looking for technical information. So it can be technical people in your organization as well. Then what are the other techniques? Social networks, instant messengers, watering holes. Watering holes is a nice thing. So they infect the trusted web resources, web pages, with some kind of an exploit or a script or whatever. And again, it is not distributed to the entire audience of this web page. They know when you click on the link and you comes to your trusted, again, maybe news web page or sports or weather or whatever, you open this web page and they specially give the exploit to you, not to the entire audience of this web page. Then hospitality networks is a very good story. There was a dark hotel APT campaign. Why we called it dark hotel? Again, because the network of the hotels was infected. And we're calling it hospitality networks is because when you check in, when you travel, and we all travel, right? And we're having our corporate laptops with us or smartphones. And when you get to the internet, when you check in on the internet in the hotel, the Wi-Fi can ask you to download something, to download any script, or even it can't ask you anything, but they put the infection to your computer within the hotel network. And then finally, USB drives. That's more or less it about APT campaigns. Concerning the other evolving threats is mobiles. Mobiles is like a huge story today. First of all, because the diversity of markets and millions of applications, millions of downloads, then mobiles are very, very attractive because they're like, I'll share the statistics later on. We have now more and more mobiles users than even laptops or desktops. And 50% of Android phones, for example, have unpatched vulnerabilities. which is, in my opinion, quite crazy. So the mobile risks are pretty similar to PCs. So it's about malware, it's about phishing, it's about browser and network exploits, it's about still Wi-Fi sniffing, data theft, and privacy concept is also like a big question. They know what we are doing, they know where we are. Apple and Google knows everything, absolutely everything. How much time you're spending in this room, how much time you're spending in some other hotels or any other places. Like even if my wife knew how to look for it in my iPhone, I'm crazy. It's dangerous. Thanks God she doesn't know. Audio webcam recordings, ransomware, and so on and so forth. So like a pretty everything what we see on our PCs we can see on the mobiles. Talking about ransomware, do you know what is ransomware? It's a hot topic. It's also like very, very hot in like this year and last year. Even here in like Mexico, US, there are more and more ransomwares. First of all, it's a type of malware that attempts to extort money from a computer user by infection and taking control of the computer. It can prevent you from access like your operation system or encrypts file on your computer or stop certain applications from running on mobile devices. So, and it started like a couple of years ago from Russia and Eastern Europe. Now it's all over the world. It's a trend. And it's still more consumer threat, but also like from small office, small business. It's also, there are more and more infections of this. And it's really complicated to get rid of it. So it looks like this, just several examples. Your personal files are encrypted, pay us some money, to this account, to that account. So it's like different kind of, it can show you some inappropriate pictures on your desktop. So like different kind of things, and encrypts files. So types of ransomware, it's encryption, it's lock screen ransomware, it's master boot record ransomware, it's encryption of web servers and mobile. And again, the main idea here, you don't need to pay. Please do not sponsor those guys. There are a bunch of solutions within Kaspersky products and solutions and tools or any other third parties. Try not to pay. Ask for help or find out how to get rid of that or those ransomware from your PCs. It's still possible. Finally, let me talk a little bit about ICS. Industrial Control System, Critical Infrastructure. This is, again, becomes a hot topic. There is ICS search statistics I'm using here. In 2014, there were 245 incidents. Still, at the moment, we have statistics for just the first half of 2015, more than 200 incidents all over the world, and there like becomes more and more. In 2016, it's more, and they're attacking. I'll show you like a couple of examples. Most attacks target the following objects: oil and gas, first of all, power plants, critical manufacturing, and of course transportations, like airports, railway stations, and so on and so forth. The main goal, the main idea, to get access to SCADA, to get access, and then, again, it can be ransom, it can be, they can ask for some money to get access back. It's like a ruined technological processes all over the world, all over the world. I'll show you just one example from Ukraine. It happened at the end of 2015. 3 energy distribution companies hacked, and they like just stopped working. It happened in Japan several times with steel mills. It happened in Germany. It happened in the US. So like in quite developed countries, and they are attacking quite important critical objects. So we need to think about this as well. We need to at least start thinking about this. Some local stuff, some local statistics, local specifics, I think it was important for you. So first of all, known numbers, I think it's known for you, but like just to remind you, the penetration of internet in Mexico is increasing, of course. It's almost 60% of population using internet. The main device for internet access here in Mexico is smartphones, 77%, then laptops, and then desktops. Concerning the threats, real-time statistics, you can all go to cybermap.kaspersky.com. Quite interesting statistics we're collecting all over the world from different Latin American countries, like all over the world. Mexico is number 10. Like when I collected these numbers, Mexico was on the number 10. Then the threat landscape in Latin America, different countries with online detections. Online detections means online detection by web pages. Then Brazil, Chile, Canada somehow happened here. Then Mexico, sorry about this, Mexico, Panama, Dominican Republic, and so on and so forth. With the local detections means detected by our antivirus. Mexico is like number somewhere 9 or 10, 8. Brazil is number 1, then Venezuela, Bolivia, Honduras, Nicaragua, and so on and so forth. And finally, with the malicious hosts, the number of malicious hosts inside the country, Brazil, Chile, and then Mexico. Another interesting story about the local statistics by the country regions. I'm not really good in this, but like just what we collect by our products and our statistics, our Kaspersky security network. District of Federal is number 1, and then Mexico City, the more or less, and so on and so forth. Just again for your information. Detectable malware by operation systems. Windows 10 number 1, Windows 7, Windows 7. There are still, this is important, still a bunch of XPs. How possible? We're in 2016, and you still have a lot of Windows XPs. I know it's a matter of budget, it's a matter of like hardware, whatever, but XP is not supported by Microsoft already 3 years. No updates, no patches, anything. Get rid of XP, please. And finally, the good thing, and to finish on the positive, Mexico government will invest $89 million in a cyber defense operations center, which is very important. When governments understands that this topic becomes really, really important, that's perfect. And the project for the construction of the Center of Cyberspace Operations will aim to protect against cyber attacks or hacking to more than 600 strategic facilities and government institutions. Thanks God. Hope those money will go for better. Kind of a summary at the end. Attack surface is increasing. We discussed it at the beginning. Cost of entry is decreasing. It's much less expensive to be in this market. APT groups merging with cyber criminals. We discussed it. Why and why is it so dangerous? Supply chain attacks, larger operations and surgical strikes, critical infrastructure attacks, finally wipers and cyber sabotage, asking money to get rid of it. What will happen tomorrow? Some predictions for tomorrow. Still, it's quite obvious, but more and more complex state-sponsored cyber espionage campaigns, attacks, critical infrastructure attacks. We will see more and more. We're already seeing it. We've seen the trend starting from 2010, and now we see new APT campaigns almost every week, several campaigns a week. Then this is tricky, but quite interesting, and we can argue about this. In our opinion, it will not happen tomorrow, but maybe in a couple of years. Future main vector of attack, will be the communication channel. Not the device, not the gadget, not the laptop or whatever. The communication, it can be, again, anything. Simple 3G, 4G, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, whatever kind of communication we are using, it can be compromised. This is also quite interesting. New targets. We already discussed it a little bit, but still looking to the future. First of all, of course, we talked about that. More and more ICS, critical infrastructure attacks. Then smart cities. Like this is a hot topic. In the US, in Middle East, in Europe, everything smart. And smart infrastructure inside the city. And it also can be compromised. Then, of course, ATMs attacks, and there are more and more financial attacks on ATMs and point-of-sales terminals. Payment systems, IoT devices. When I mean IoT it's not about like wearable devices, but it's more or less about our houses, the smart electricity systems in our houses, the security in our houses, this kind of IoT I mean here. And also, you can see it, but connected cars. Connected cars is like a piece of IoT. Also very, very hot topic today. And we are putting pushing our energy and effort into analyzing what can be the problem with the connected cars. In a couple of years, there will be millions of connected cars on the streets, and they can be compromised. Finally, the first point is quite interesting: Internet of surveillance. Everybody is spying. And this is, like, again, a question to you guys. Do we care about it or not? And this is like the reality. And there will be more and more surveillance campaigns everywhere in the world. Then, of course, social engineering, hacktivism, leaks, exposures, and ransomware. So, main idea of my presentation is, I didn't try to scare you or to tell you scary stories. My main idea is information sharing and to show you the opportunity. Why did I tell you a story about UQ2 and Kaspersky Lab? We were hacked. The AV company, one of the leaders in AV world, was hacked. It is not a problem, it is an opportunity. After that hack, we became stronger. We absolutely revised our security policies, our ways of working entirely in HQ, in the local offices. It was like a strong campaign inside the company how to work after UQ2. And that is the main idea. This whole threat landscape and all the bunch of threats, it's not a problem. We can't call it a challenge, but it's better to call it as an opportunity for you to become stronger. Finally, how to protect. Three very obvious, very obvious and simple steps. Education, and let me say it 5 times. Education, 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 education. This is important. If you're invest a lot of money into the best security solutions, if you buy the best products, anti-APT whatsoever, but your employees are not care about what is APT, they do not know what we're talking about, that's the problem. Any best solutions will not help. It is still 99, 98% of protection, but not 100. And this education thing is quite important. And don't do it once, do it on a regular basis. Educate your employees inside your organizations. Establish processes and policies. Again, this is about policy making, but it's still important. Restricting rules inside, segmentation of your networks. Think, do your employees need to use USB sticks? Do they need to use social networks? Is it mandatory or not? Maybe for some of those, you don't need to do it. If you are working in the critical infrastructure and it's allowed to use USB sticks, that's the problem. Finally, implement the best technologies. I can say Kaspersky Lab or anybody else who is here in this beautiful exhibition, but use the best, reliable, up-to-date technologies. That is important. Remember that your investments into the security, they grow up linearly. It's not that bad. The damage, the damage out of the threats increases exponentially. Please think about this. This is the last slide, I promise. Anti-malware is your friend, with a smile, of course. Only install applications from the official repositories, not only applications, so any kind of software from the reliable sources, official sources. Enforce stronger passwords, different kind of passwords. Keep software up to date. Regular update. Install firmware updates for network devices, also very important. This is I also say 5 times. Backup, 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 backup. Backup, 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 backup. And finally, be a little bit paranoid. To be a little bit paranoid, this is one of the main ideas. Finally, it's time to choose your own digital bodyguard. Thank you.